Christensen from Pawpaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the committee. My name is Todd Christensen, a resident. I'm a retired police officer from the city of Kalamazoo. Served 25 years upholding and defending the Constitution of the state as a police officer. And I'm a combat veteran of the United States Army. Served in the most dangerous place on the planet in 2009 and 2010, being Southern Kandahar Province as a combat advisor with the 508th Parachute Infantry of the 82nd Airborne. My job in Afghanistan was to help build a new country, and the enemy in which we faced was the Taliban. They were establishing their order based on their religious belief. They were fundamentalist and they were Islamic. And they took great joy in blowing up the schools that I helped build based on their religious freedom. And what I want us to keep in mind is that sometimes our good intentions can be used against us, because people take things to the extreme in every society and in all religions. Perception is the reality that we need to keep in mind. And if someone perceives that they can get away with something or are protected by the law, they're going to do it. And I just want to read the paragraph that confused me, and this is from the House Bill 5958, the definition of exercise of religion, and it really reminded me of the Taliban. Just this paragraph alone, it states, means the practice or observance of religion, including an act or refusal to act that is substantially motivated by a sincerely held religious belief, whether or not compelled by a central to a system of religious belief. That's a lot of interpretation. And I want to tell you something that's already happening based on that interpretation in Granville, Michigan, and that is from a company called Diesel Tech that announced just a few weeks ago that they have decided that they're not going to service vehicles to openly gay or lesbian residents of the state of Michigan, which seems to be in violation of the Public Accommodations Act of 1976 that we already have. But what really concerns me is this owner of this business kept throwing out the words, based on my religious belief, based on my religious belief, I'm not going to service vehicles, and perhaps might not put vehicles back together properly just because of someone's presumed sexual orientation. Now, I know we're not walking around with yellow stars on our shoulders like the Nazis made the Jews do to identify people as being Jewish, or to identify people as being gay or straight, but it's a perception that someone might have that could open the door up to possible discrimination. I don't think this bill is intended in any way to discriminate people, but I do think we have inadvertently opened up a door or a pathway that someone could say they're doing something based on a religious belief and from the bill have a legal defense for that. That's my concern as a person who has sworn to defend the Constitution. I don't want to see our First Amendment or amendments therefore after related to it used against our own people in the future. Please think about the third and fourth order effects as you consider this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your service to our country. We all appreciate your sacrifice in going to Afghanistan. So, you've heard that this is based on a law sponsored by Ted Kennedy, signed into law by Bill Clinton, that Barack Obama voted for the same thing in Illinois. Would you call for a repeal of those laws then?
It sounds to me like we need an addition. We need a protection to help eliminate or close the door to an interpretation of discrimination that may be coming from this bill. And perhaps that's a protected class based on sexual orientation, since that seems to be the topic of discussion.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. Senator Beda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your comments as well, and thank you again for your service. Actually, I had a friend of mine that served the same time as you did, and I'll talk to you about that later if you have an opportunity. I think you made a really good point. You're dealing with situations where maybe not the intent of the bill is to discriminate, but you've seen it over and over again with a lot of different interpretations. They may not have been successful either, but they still brought that up. They still asserted it as, and for everyone that goes to court, there's a whole bunch of others that don't. So, and your insight and frankly, serving in Afghanistan with the Taliban is maybe an apt metaphor, because you've got a religiously based organization that was very fundamentalist, very extreme, maybe not even representative of the Muslim world as a whole, but certainly a part of it. And I think that's the concern that people have, this when we're dealing with religion, we're dealing with religious rights that are very sacred, but at the same time, you've got to balance those out to other people's religious rights and other rights that people have. So just want to thank you, and again, thank you so much for your service to our country and to our state, and thanks for your testimony.
Okay, thank you for your service.